Mulai ya. Raise your hand if you are here. Okay. Raise your hand. Ahmad, Matthew.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so hold on, let me take a snippet. Oke, terakhir kali kita sampai di mana ya untuk threaded fasteners? Ada yang bisa
assembly itunya ya Pak. Kalau buat nyatuin dua plat itu Pak, yang si MD tanya Pak di tempat magang dia itu Pak.
Kenapa? Say that again.
Terakhir itu Pak, yang cara nyambungin dua plat ya kalau nggak salah Pak, ditumpuk disatuin gitu Pak. Kemarin terakhir nanya singkat saya si MD Pak, di tempat magang dia metodenya beda begitu Pak.
Oke, kita udah bahas macam-macam nuts and bolts ya.
Ini udah Pak.
Ini udah ya.
Singkat saya udah Pak.
Oke. Yes, kayaknya kita sampai sini deh, sampai coatings, right?
Ini kayak belum deh Pak.
Ya, ya. So, coba kita bahas mulai dari sini ya. I wanna continue bolts, and then after this, hopefully we can finish lead screws. Okay, so let me go into full screen mode first. Kalian lihatnya full screen atau enggak ya?
Udah full screen Pak.
Full screen ya?
Iya Pak.
Tes Pak, halo Pak,
Ya.
Oh, bisa join ya? Tadi nggak usah join Pak, error Pak.
Okay, hold on. Okay, full screen ya. On coatings, right? Can you guys confirm it's on full screen?
Enggak Pak ini.
Ini enggak?
Enggak, ini PowerPoint Bapak malah Pak, yang ada next slide segala itu Pak.
Oh.
Sebelumnya yang full screen Pak.
How about now?
Iya Pak, sekarang udah.
Okay, good. All right, so let's continue on bolts and nuts. There are several coatings, typical coatings on bolt and nuts. I mean, rarely do you see plain steel bolts, okay, because they will rust in no time. So you almost always have some sort of coating, right? Now, this coating works for several purposes. First, it's appearance. It's just, I mean, if it's rusty, people just think it's junk, right? So even though it is as strong, actually, the rust doesn't really remove the strength from the bolt. Really, it's still as strong as it can be. But because the rust is only on the surface, right? But it does affect your friction, which then will reduce your clamping strength, okay? Because your torque is lost all on overcoming the friction rather than clamping the two plates or the two objects that you're trying to assemble, okay? So corrosion, that will increase friction, right? And it goes into what is called preload. Now, I'm not going to go into calculation on preload because I just want to move faster, but I do want to introduce the concept of why it is important for you to tighten it properly, okay? So zinc-plated steel very common, relatively inexpensive. Okay. Corrosion resistance, a little bit, not much. Okay. Can be blue, oh no, white or gold. Now, alloy steel is usually hardened, and this is usually a black oxide finish. Okay. Not so much corrosion resistance, but it does have a hard surface. Okay, so these kind of bolts, if you see they're black like this, it's relatively stronger surface, harder surface, so it doesn't, the threads are stronger. Okay, so higher grade bolts will be usually black oxide like this. High friction though, those black oxide. The galvanized steel, these other coatings are less friction, but the black oxide is actually higher friction. Stainless steel, of course, is the best, more expensive. But if you're doing work on your exhaust and suspension, sometimes I replace on my car. I mean, sometimes I replace my bolts with stainless steel, especially in the US when I was working in a four-season country. Then, you know, the winter and the salt will cause all kind of corrosion, and it's really a pain in the ass, you know, to take those bolts off. Literally it breaks. So when I work on my exhaust, I assume all my bolts will break. Okay, if not, then I'm just gonna cut them, because it's so hard to take it off. The hex will be rounded and all that. And then I usually replace it with stainless steel bolts. So next time it won't be as like hell for me to take it off. Coatings. Oh, I also often put a grease on the threads because not only it reduces friction, but it prevents the bolts from seizing. Seized bolt, S-E-I-Z. Okay, bolt seizing means it's stuck. Okay, you cannot remove it. Even if you force it out, you're gonna break the bolt instead of getting the bolt out. It's if it's seized inside the thread. One way you prevent that is by putting some kind of oil, or grease is better, because grease does not get flushed out over time. So I put thread grease all the time, many times. But you need to remember that your torque needs to be lower. If you put grease on it, you don't want to over torque it, or you're going to break the bolt. Yep, just different coating here.
Pak,
Ya.
Pak, itu kalau misalnya kan ada beberapa baut, kalau misalnya dari OEM, dari pabrikan itu beberapa ada yang di lem, itu gimana tuh Pak?
Itu Pak threadlock ya namanya.
Pakai threadlock Pak.
Threadlock.
Jadi gue baru nanya.
Bukan threadlock sih, maksudnya kayak di lem pakai ada lem khusus gitu Pak.
Iya, itu bilangnya threadlock, Ci.
Threadlock ya.
Iya, namanya threadlock. Dia semacam cairan lem. Itu gimana, Pak?
Kok nge-freeze ya?
DC.
Recorded Bang.
Hai, mana?
Recorded cuy.
Enggak, mungkin ke DC kali palionya. Nge-lag.
Iya.
Nih,
Tapi
Ci.
Pak Bos,
Record kan jalan terus selama Zoom-nya ada.
iya.
Nggak harus ada dia sih.
Ci,
Yuk.
pertanyaan kita semua sama, Ci. Gue baru mau nanya kalau pakai threadlock gimana. Terus lu nanya juga.
Maksudnya pemikiran gue gini. Gue biasa kalau buka baut piringan tuh itu kenceng mampus. Terus pas dilihat ada merah-merah di bawah, lemnya.
Iya, itu namanya threadlocker. Threadlock.
Iya, beneran DC. Oke, halo Pak. Mana Bapaknya?
Belum.
Eng.
Apa koyeng?
Hey.
Sorry about that. Somebody unplugged my router. So,
Oh my God. Oke Pak.
accidentally. obviously. Oke, so tadi ada yang mau nanya ya?
Iya,
Tadi
Pak.
nanya apa?
Kalau pakai thread locker, Pak.
Thread locker serve a different purpose. It's not for ini. Bentar ya, kok video saya hilang?
Ada kok, Pak.
Oh, oke. Okay. Thread locker itu buat prevent the bolt from vibrating out. So it's not for anti-seize atau anti-corrosion. It's for preventing it from loosening it up.
Oke.
Yeah, I use thread lockers when it's when I'm installing it on a machine that vibrates, or some motion. When I'm tightening like a linkage, where it kind of moves, especially rotate, right? So it's a good idea. If you put nuts on your project, wheels, mobile robot, for example, it's a good idea. Thread lockers. I usually use namanya Loctite. That's the brand. Okay. Okay. Just interrupt me if you have more questions. Bolt grades. U.S. bolts, inch bolts. You have a grade 2, grade 5, grade 8. Metric, 8. Class 8.8, class 10.9, class 12.9. These all refer to the strength of the bolt itself. So you can tighten it more, and it has harder surface also typically. Like a class 10.9 or class 12.9 is usually black oxide finish. Now, the grade 5 is approximately equivalent to class 8.8 in the metric bolt. Grade 8 bolt is approximately equivalent to the strength of a class 10.9 bolt. Okay? So, yeah, some of these you already went through in ATME, so I'm gonna go through it quickly. Obviously, you got a bolt, male thread, nut, female thread, or internal thread, right? Here's something interesting. The threads that actually take up the load, I mean, what is this? 34, 23, that's 57, 63, 73%. So these already take up 73% of the load on the first 3 threads, okay? If you don't have these two, these typically can range up to 80%. So 80% of the load is taken up by the first 3 threads. Artinya apa? Kalau kalian ngencengin sesuatu, ulir yang masuk should be around 3, minimum of 2, but around 3 threads. And that's good enough, okay? You don't need like that long of a thread.
Oh, itu Pak berarti dari kita muter bautnya berarti dari ujung itu ya?
Begitu mulai masuk.
Begitu
Ya,
mulai
jadi,
masuk itu udah dihitung ya?
Ya, ulir yang engage, ya. Jadi ulir yang locked in to the nut, or a other threads, female threads.
Oke, Pak.
Jadi waktu bolt itu fail, biasanya kalau kalian lihat nanti ulir yang hancur itu biasanya ulir-ulir depan, because they take up most of the loads. Okay. Ini ada juga ulir yang terbalik ya, thread yang terbalik. Sometimes you do this to tighten something. Jadi kalau yang di sini left hand, yang di sini right hand, you can turn the middle piece and you actually pull this into each other or spread apart. Sometimes you do this to tighten sling ya. Kalau kita ikat sling, ujungnya dikasih turnbuckle, you can turn the middle and it will shorten the sling.
Spion motor Pak sering Pak.
Spion motor kebalik ya?
Beberapa jenis sih Pak.
Iya, ada yang kebalik.
Iya, pabrikan Yamaha spion sebelah kanan atau kiri gitu. Beratnya kebalik Pak.
Iya, karena ketiup angin kan? Kalau nggak,
Untuk memudahkan pemasangan sih Pak, sama ya faktor-faktor itu juga Pak, tiup angin juga.
ya. Itu pakai sistem jam nut by the way sering kali kan. Jadi masuk lalu ada nut yang ngencengin ya.
Iya
So
Pak.
itu sistemnya mirip seperti yang saya kemarin cerita jam nut. Jadi you
Iya,
jam it against each other supaya they don't rotate. Kalau nggak kan, kalau spion kamu puter lalu stop kan stopnya belum tentu di posisi yang kamu mau kan.
Iya Pak,
Jadi
benar Pak.
biasanya ada nutnya lagi.
Sama di beberapa mesin sih Pak kalau itu counter clockwise Pak.
Ya, ya. Atau kipas angin kalau
Ya.
kalau muternya clockwise ya dia bikin kebalikan supaya it doesn't loosen itself, right?
Iya Pak.
Okay, I'm sure you guys seen this before, right?
Iya Pak.
Die, tap. Tapping is one of the more difficult process, right? I'm sure some of you break some taps before. And it's a pain to
M4,
get it out.
M4, ayo M4.
Especially small ones, you gotta make sure it's really straight, right? First of all, the drill size has to be correct. And then when you tap, you gotta make sure you're not bending it, you're actually torquing it. Pure rotation instead of bending. Okay, checking threads. Kenapa?
Yang tadi itu yang gambar atas itu dikasih oli ya Pak?
Ya, kasih minyak, cutting oil.
Oh emang boleh Pak?
Itu
Boleh,
cara
boleh.
benernya.
It's actually
Itu
very
cara propernya sih, Jo.
Itu cara benernya.
Tadi aku
Tapi
dijaga
ya.
yang nggak bener.
Oh, it makes a whole lot
supaya
of
aman.
difference.
Oh.
Especially if you're tapping steel. Kalau kamu tapping aluminium sih no big deal ya. Tapi kalau
Oh, iya.
kalian tapping into steel, ya good luck. Without an oil, it's really a pain. You gotta go back and forth and just
Apalagi kalau patah di dalam Pak. Aduh, patah di dalam setengah mati Pak.
ya mampus itu. So you tighten, then you gotta break the chips, right? You tighten a rotation, break the chips, and just a lot of patience. But the cutting oil really helps. Checking threads, you can check it this way using a thread gauge. Here's an example thread gauge. Okay, ini threadnya, ya kan? Kamu cocokin. Okay. Metric threads. M6 refers to the major diameter. Okay. 6, 8, 10, 12. You don't see a lot of M7, for example. These are common sizes, right? If you go down, then you have M5, M4, M3. But the bigger size, you skip some size because it's just pointless to have too much variation, right? And the pitch that comes with it is also quite standard. Jadi kalau M6, usually it comes with 1 millimeter pitch for coarse thread, and then you got fine thread. Okay, so M8, coarse, fine thread. These are the most common ones. Again, M6, typically 1 millimeter pitch. Kita udah ngomong sebentar kemarin ya. Jadi kalau ini nih pitch-nya, kalau di inch thread, how many threads in 1 inch, right? Jadi angkanya semakin besar, semakin apa? Kasar atau halus?
Kasar.
Kalau
Angkanya semakin besar Pak. Oh, semakin halus Pak.
Makin halus, Pak.
ya semakin halus karena jumlah ulir dalam 1 inci semakin banyak, artinya semakin halus. Kalau di metric yang ditulis pitch-nya, jadi semakin kecil
Jadi
semakin halus, semakin besar semakin kasar.
Iya Pak.
M8 you have 1.25 millimeters, right, for coarse and 1 millimeter for fine threads. Let's talk a little bit about, oh ini yang kebalik, ini ya, inch ya. Jadi kalau inch itu setengah itu diameternya, lalu 20 itu threadnya. Ini coarse, fitnya ini seberapa akurat threadnya. Nah, no big deal unless you're doing something really precision stuff. Okay, but usually you just go with the standard fit. Unless you're building some rover for Mars or something at NASA, you know. Nah, ini coarse versus fine thread. To be honest, we rarely use fine threads. Okay, in most application we just use coarse threads. They are stronger actually because the thread are thicker, ya kan? Kalau fine thread lebih tipis kan otomatis. Better fatigue resistance, less tendency to cross thread. Cross thread tuh masukinnya miring ya. Pernah masukin baut miring, kamu kencengin, pertama susah, terus jadi gampang, ya itu ulirnya udah hancur, right? So,
Iya, Pak.
and then you cannot tighten all the way in, and yeah,
Baru.
sucks to be you at that time. Assemble quicker, tap better into brittle materials, thicker coatings. I mean, majority of the time is coarse thread is better. Fine threads, stronger tension by a little bit, okay, because the minor diameter, so this is your bolt, okay, the minor diameter is a little bit bigger on fine threads, but I mean, we're talking, I don't know, 5%, okay, not that much, really. I would do this if I were doing thin wall. I would do finer threads, or if you need closer adjustment accuracy in cases where you're using the thread to like adjust a position in and out, right? Because one rotation results in shorter travel. But I don't think that makes a big difference in terms of strength. So ignore that. I would just use coarse thread most of the time. Okay, if you want to argue you get better clamping, in coarse threads you can just do more torque. Okay, it's irrelevant. Tadi
Pak,
ada yang mau nanya?
iya Pak. Itu kalau berarti bedanya tuh kalau coarse itu drat kasar, fine itu drat halus.
Ya, ya.
Bedanya itu.
Ya, drat kasar, drat halus.
Oke Pak.
I'll skip this. This is how you ini counter bore, counter sink udah belajar ya.
Udah,
supaya
Pak.
kepalanya masuk. Oke.
Ada Pak.
Apa Jo? Countersink Jo?
Countersink Jo.
Apa tuh?
Okay, this is a set screw. Yeah, very useful. Tightening your pulley, your gear, or sprocket. Not the strongest one, not the strongest method, but it's pretty practical. Okay, in many cases, smaller shaft, this is good enough. Okay, bigger shaft, bigger torque, you might need something different like keys or splines. Okay, here's just the different tips. Doesn't really matter that much. You would do a cone point if you create a countersink on the shaft. Otherwise, I would go with flat or just cup, oval, all right? But otherwise, if you want to do a really sharp cone, you should use some countersink on the opposite. Then it makes a big difference because your cone point will go into the countersink.
Kayak bleeder nggak sih Pak?
Bleeder screw, the cone serve a different purpose because you are actually you want to have a tiny gap going about allowing the minyak rem to go out, right? But that's for a separate purpose. We are here talking about structural.
Oh, structure-nya. Oke Pak.
Yeah. So again, you usually have a flat spot here on the shaft, right? You want to have a flat spot or a countersink. It's even better.
Oh, nah.
Bolt tensioning. All right. I want you to play some videos first. Let me send that link over chat. Okay, go ahead and watch the video. Okay, I got one more video. I'm gonna chat that, send it over chat also. Okay, I'll wait for a little bit until you finish your videos.
Pak, saya mau nanya, Pak.
Ya.
Kalau dalam bolt atau screw itu kan ada macam-macam tool buat opennya, kayak ada Phillip head atau kita pakai Allen key gitu-gitu, Pak. In the design of a bolt itu kayak berpengaruh nggak sih sebenarnya? Tool apa yang buat ngebuka bautnya itu?
Not really, but some head type are just not meant for high torque, right? I mean, like Phillips head itu bisa camming out gitu. You understand what camming out means?
Kayak abis ke, kalau nggak pas sama, ya ke chip jadinya kan, Pak? Kayak ke gores.
Jadi bener, slack. So that problem creates, ini saya mau share screen sebentar ya. Cannot multitask. Jadi kepalanya itu, kalau kepala yang bintang, itu bisa camming out. Tapi kalau kepala hex, jadi kayak kunci L gitu, kan kepalanya hex. Itu it doesn't slip out as quicker, as easily, right? Just because of the geometry. So it's just different style in most cases, but in some cases it's just greater torque capacity.
So jadi kayak kalau misalnya dalam desain pun nggak perlu dimasukin ke dalam vektor type-nya mesti gimana, Pak? Atau kayak depending kayak ini mesti type-nya segini, jadi kita lebih better to use this type of bolt atau others?
Yeah, hex is one of the safest, I guess, is safe to go with because more than likely that does the job. Atau yang kepala hex internal ya, jadi pakai kunci L. Kalau di Amerika bilangnya Allen key. So kunci L jadi kuncinya yang masuk ke bautnya ya. Atau bautnya yang hex, kuncinya pakai kunci sock. Sometimes you gotta also think about tool access. Jadi kalau kamu mau akses toolnya dari samping, kalau aksesnya lebih dari samping, hex will be better. Kalau aksesnya dari atas, mungkin dan aksesnya sempit, mungkin kunci L lebih bagus. So sometimes you think about tool access. At times, I mean, in some assemblies, you gotta make a hole just for the sake of your tool getting in. It happens. Okay, so that's one aspect you can think about. But other than that, it's just hex socket. Bilangnya apa ya kalau yang kunci L itu ya? Bilangnya apa sih kalau di Indonesia? Baut yang pakai kunci L, baut L ya?
Baut L, Pak.
Baut L, Pak.
Ya, baut L. Padahal bukan
Kita bilangnya
baut
baut L
ya, kunci L. Atau
Karena
baut
dibilang mesin
screw,
screw juga deh, Pak.
Hex screw
Hex
bisa
screw
ya,
juga bisa.
Mesin screw, some people bilang mesin screw.
bukan hex screw sih.
I'm just trying to find the street name in Glodok, you know. Biasa bilangnya apa?
Bawain barangnya, Pak.
Biasa baut L
Iya,
coba
barang kayak gini Pak, ada nggak gitu kan?
Iya, ada ini nggak, Pak?
Contoh
Thanks to
biasanya, Pak.
smartphones, now you can bring your phone and just show, right?
Tapi
In the
kalau-
old days,
Pak.
before smartphone, I gotta bring a sample. Ya.
Pak. Kalau misalnya kan ada kunci L, ada yang L biasa itu kan, Pak. Terus ada L yang bentuknya bintang gitu, Pak.
Ya, Torx, T-O-R-X.
Nah, itu lebih gimana, Pak? Lebih kuat atau lebih bagaimana?
Kalau ini mana ya? Saya ada kok. I guess I didn't talk about it, huh?
Kayaknya di pertemuan sebelumnya ada, cuman.
Nah ini socket cap. Torx, mana Torx? Torx here. Ya. Torx ini dia jadi hex, square, Torx ini dia tidak camming out ya. Jadi dia nggak cam out seperti Philips yang bisa keluar sendiri gitu kan. Kalau kamu udah kenceng, kamu mesti tekan kan. Kalau kamu nggak tekan, it's gonna select gitu kan. Nah, Torx ini mirip kayak Hex, tapi surface-nya lebih luas lagi. Jadi kalau untuk kayak handphone atau laptop, sometimes we have this Torx bolts because surface area kontaknya masih lebih luas lagi kan, ya kayak bunga gitu kan, dibanding Hex. Kalau Hex begitu kuncinya bundar, udah that's it man, you're done, right? Once it rounded up. Torx does not do that as easily. Jangan pakai obeng plus buat Torx ya. Learn the definitions. Torx is Torx, right? Kamu depannya T biasanya T6 atau T5 gitu kan. Okay, so use Torx screwdrivers.
Cuman di beberapa kasus Pak, di tengahnya itu kayak ada pin gitu Pak.
Ya, itu Torx security key. Jadi, tengahnya ada pin kan ya?
Iya Pak.
Jadi kunci kamu itu lawannya ada lubang.
Itu yang bisa dibilang lock nut ya Pak, kalau salah di mobil.
Saya sih nggak pernah lihat ini di mobil ya. Jadi ini namanya Torx security hacks. Biasanya ini dibikin just so that kalian tuh tidak iseng-iseng. Jadi kayak di WC terus ada orang iseng buka-buka, vandalism. Usually they put this pin just because it's not as common and people don't have the tool. That's all I can think of. I mean, there is really no mechanical design advantage or scientific reasons why you would put that extra pin there. I don't think there is any reason other than
sih Pak. Kebanyakan orang kesusahan bukanya Pak.
Yeah, betul. I mean, it's just more unique, right? I've also seen like triangular socket. Pokoknya aneh-aneh deh. Just for the sake of vandalism kan, supaya orang nggak gampang nyuri gitu.
Sama nyusahin orang bengkel sih Pak.
Iya benar. Atau dia mungkin ada bisnis jualan kunci-kunci. Terus nanti dia mau jual kuncinya.
Monopoli Pak.
Okay, back to clamping. The video talk a lot about clamping and torque, right? Because when you torque a bolt, you are essentially trying to develop clamping force, okay? It's the clamping force is what matters. The rotating your bolt is just a way to get there, right? Dengan kamu putar, dia nge-clamp, right? But remember, the critical quantity here is the clamping force, not the torque. But it's related, right? It's related. So as you torque it, it clamps, even though you lose some on the friction. Okay, to save time, I'm not going to talk about the bolted joint diagram. Usually every year I talk about this. It's a little bit counterintuitive, but what I want you to understand is just this, right? I mean, the bolt is essentially a spring. The bolt is essentially a spring. So when you tighten it, you stretch the bolt and you compress the parts, right? As you tighten the bolt, you stretch the bolt, but you clamp the parts. The bolt actually lengthens. Jadi waktu kalian kencengin, ini kan malah jadi nongol kan? Betul nggak?
Iya,
Bolt,
Iya, Pak.
boltnya waktu kamu kencengin nutnya atau boltnya, it doesn't matter. Pokoknya waktu kamu kencengin the assembly, it sticks out, right? Boltnya makin nongol, artinya apa? Boltnya makin panjang, ya kan? So it's actually a spring being lengthened, and that's how you think about the bolt, really. And the bolt preload is what keeps it there. Think about this as a spring gauge, kayak gini. Kamu pasang preload 1,000 pounds, and then you put a block. This block is what you want to hold. Okay, this block is what you want to hold. Sekarang kamu lepas preloadnya, dia ngeclamp kan dengan 1.000. Waktu kita tarik, Dengan 999 bloknya copot nggak?
Belum.
Bloknya nggak copot, tapi dia hanya dipegang dengan 1 pound, right? The clamping here reduces to 1. Kalau di sini kan di clamp dengan 1000, karena kita udah kasih preload 1000. Begitu saya tarik dengan 999 pound, sisanya tinggal 1. And when I reach 1,000, the block comes out. Okay, this explains to you why it's the clamping load that matters in an assembly. And in order to achieve as much clamping load as possible, you want to achieve as much torque as possible before you fail the bolt. So you want to achieve as much torque as possible, usually about 80 to 90% of the yield of the bolt. Ya, kita mau maksimalkan sampai bautnya hampir putus. Bukan putus sih, plastic deformation. Bautnya hampir yielding, ya.
Patah.
Tapi nggak sampai yielding. So this is why it's important for you to have a torque wrench. A torque wrench is a wrench that measures the torque, especially in important assemblies like your engine block, because you want as much clamping as possible. Kalau nggak, headnya ngangkat. Headnya ngangkat, gasket kamu jebol, and ya, bye-bye. So,
Kirim kompresi, Pak.
ya, kompresi. Jadi, on some assemblies that are critical, you want as much clamping load as possible. Oke? Okay? Ya, kalau kamu cuma masang kayak apa ya, klem selang gitu, bukan klem selang yang buat ngikat selang ya, tapi maksudnya kayak holder selang gitu, atau kamu cuma masang bracket apa, it's not that important. Tapi kalau kamu want as much clamping as possible, you want a torque wrench. Okay, so I'm gonna skip this.
Tapi kadang terlalu bersemangat bisa sampai patah, Pak.
Betul, makanya kamu perlu torque wrench. You want to achieve as much as possible before it, not over, but not under. Gitu. That's the idea of a torque wrench. Jadi mencapai titik optimal kan, tidak kekendoran, tapi juga kamu kagak break the bolt. That's why you need a torque wrench. Jadi ini yang paling murah, beam style. Dia cuma goyang doang nih jarumnya. Ini agak kecil sih, sorry. Torque wrench yang ini klik. I have this one. So kapok sejak saya break a bolt, I buy the torque wrench. And in my repair manual, I always look up on important bolts. I look up the torque and I set the torque, itu kayak micrometer. Kamu set, and when you tighten it, when you reach the torque, it clicks. Ya, waktu dia klik, you stop. Don't keep going. Ya, jadi kamu kencengin, click, and stop. Let go. Ini yang digital, of course it's expensive. There are other ways to measure the clamping like a stretch gauge, atau kadang-kadang ada juga combination. Jadi kamu kencengin dengan torque wrench, and then you go an additional, misalnya dikasih tahu 1/3 rotation. Ada juga metode-metode seperti itu. Stretch control is the best one. Takes a while to explain this, so maybe next time. Okay, these are some calculation. I'm gonna skip that.